him hell for, killing that lizard to make him boots. He says, look, lady, he says, a Greyhound bus run over this lizard, and I had to fight the buzzards off to get him. I killed a lizard.
Well, I didn't quite do that.
Hey, Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know your lovely wife.
You didn't know her.
She didn't recognize her.
I didn't
Went right
know
by her. Yeah. I was trying to court Uncle Bud's joke without him knowing. That's what being the cameraman's all about.
Okay.
Traffic was quite here. There she is. Hi. Let me get a hug. I'm doing fine. I've been talking to you anyway. Thank you. Yes.
Get out here, race to
This is roasting day. I'm gonna get her. I couldn't find the match. I bet you got another pair of socks at home. You got different colors. I'm glad to see her.
Okay, well.
Oh, we'll be glad to see her.
We can sit anywhere.
We're right. I'm gonna try to get on the average appearance. Other than we had to wait a long time. Hi, Renee. How are you?
I would look at you all over the place.
Hello. You never get down when we're
Very, very close. How you doing?
Dealing with people like that. Such vanity because I grew up to get shorter. Now, Aunt Leatha, I just don't know what to say. You've got a lot to answer to here. You're not going to get off line either. My mother didn't bake all that much, but Aunt Leatha was always very cool. And I'm going to have to confess something here that I feel bad about, but when I was about 5 or 6, I developed a good relationship with Sonny. I'm sure that Sonny really felt like I liked him, and I sure did. But I had figured out that if I was going to get a shot at those good groceries at Aunt Leatha's house, the best thing I could do was to go spend the night with Sonny and be there when he got to the table. So Aunt Leatha, because of you, I've always enjoyed cakes and pies. I can truthfully say that I've never met a donut that I didn't like. So, let's see. I think we had a part here next. Oh, yes. The Smith family singers. I know a lot of y'all have been wondering why Tommy George is in the hospital. Well, he had heard that we were thinking about singing. He said that he had heard us sing about 10 years ago, and he was pretty sure that over this short time span that we had improved enough for him to listen to it again. So he checked into the hospital to avoid hearing us. And I can understand why he would do that. But let's see. I think now it would be time to ask Mr. Carter to
Heavenly Father, thank you for an occasion like this when we can come to honor those that we love. And Lord, when we look back over the 50 years we've known Leatha and George and all the wonderful things we've seen them do, the things they've accomplished in their life, the love they've spread everywhere they've ever gone, Father. We thank you for them and for their children and for this big family that has come to honor them tonight, Father. We thank you for them and for the time, especially for Jerry coming to this distance to be here with us, Lord, and helping to get this together. We thank you for George and having worked with him the years I did, Father, and knowing tonight that we pray for him because he's unable to be here, that God will be with him right where he is and to take care of his illness in a very special way, that he'll soon be back with us. Father, we thank you for the food that will be prepared here tonight, the hands that prepared you. And as we partake of that food, Father, we ask that you bless it in our bodies, that we will leave here. We'll go out to glorify your name wherever we go. Now, Father, take us and use us as you will, and make this occasion so very special in Leatha and George's life that they'll never forget it as long as they live. And thank you again, Father, for who you are and that you love us. That's in the name we ask all these things.
Amen.
Genesis food ready.
Jerry, while you're waiting, I'm like, I'll start it on this one. I hate it when I sit there. Sign in, but sign your name. Pass it on.
Pretty good. I think you got it.
What else you want to
I'm not sure. I'll get to it, but
Everybody going to party time.
Everybody on that board?
I lost my waiter's license.
I get to get this face on television.
We'll be telling our grandkids about
As long as we don't have a solid glass.
I know I just associate.
My youngest son is a certified bartender. He went to the interview.
And also, opportunities in hospital. I think it would be great if each one of us could send him a card and tell him how much we think about it and how much we want him to get well. To just send a card to his house. So, and he'll be there shortly to meet. Till they get back? Yeah. Well, yeah,
I know where my
This is my cousin that keeps getting in the way. I don't understand.
Mess up that pretty cake.
Juanita, we all told him she was
I knew it this time, so y'all be patient.
You're really going to do it?
Whatever I'm supposed to do tonight is a complete surprise. So I didn't have a chance to prepare anything. Bashful, so bear with me. I'm put in a spot, really, it's really not a spot. It's a pleasure. But anyway, I'd like to tell a little story about my mother. I think one of the reasons that I've never been on unemployment. Because I mowed yards, I think, from 10 years old. But then when I got to be about 15, my mother thought that I really should go out and get a good job. So little did I know, I think Jerry had something to do with this. Because Mother would come in and said, I got you a job. And really, I don't, to my knowledge, I don't think I've ever been offensive to my mother talking to her, but one time in my life, and this was it. Because she told me, she said, now you got your job. Report to Brownie Flake Donut Company. Jerry was already working. So when she come home and told me that, I said, Mother, you have showed your hiney. I don't need a job. But anyway, I went to work there and have worked ever since.
Go get them.
As far as Dad's concerned, I'm going to stay off of him because Jerry says I got to take his part too, and I don't want to, I don't want to be on both ends of it. That's really about all I got to say, but I'm just really think I'm the luckiest person in the world to have the parents that I've got. Amen. So, turn it over to Carol.
Thanks a lot, brother. Also, in conclusion, now I tried to think of things that could really get her, and I think I'll start off by, I was introduced the first time to accidents. Mom thought that she could get us to the nursery before Daddy could light a cigarette, and it didn't have any brakes. But Model A stopped real good, lay on its side. Yeah, this is the first one. No. And then I think I can remember the time that one morning waking up to the smell of rotten eggs, I think it was. And this is great at 6 o'clock in the morning. Scrambled eggs. We got the table and it was pig brains and eggs. Oh, and that's not good. And something else, I was always proud that we always had a matching set of glasses. Some said grape, some said peach, some said pickles, but they all matched. And I think one time the Carpenters were eating supper with us, and Lance and Edward, they were comparing what kind of jelly glass they had. But they matched. And I guess, let me see, I always look forward to summer and my flour sack or feed sack dresses. They lasted forever. And the one pair of shoes I got for the year, those were great. And let's see, what else was there? Something else. Tell me what else it was. Oh! My father embarrassed me my one and only time that I think a parent's embarrassed me. We had gone to a young people's party, and it was rather close to the highway, and we were standing around a campfire, and Walt and I were standing too close. And it so happened, Mom and Daddy just had to go to visit some friends over that way. And they come by and Daddy saw it. So we drove up in the yard after we left the party and Mom and Dad is already home. So here comes Daddy. Out to the car. I have you know, I will not have my daughter standing there like that. So, Dad, that was my embarrassing, but I love you. And he did teach me how to plow straight row, hoe good, and spread fertilizer in more ways than one.
And next, Leatha.
She ran.
Y'all need to chickened out.
She's right here.
She's got some good ones.
I guess the one thing I can say, I'm definitely not shy.
Stand up.
I am.
I think I came along maybe after Planned Parenthood because since my brother is just a few years older than I am and my sister just a couple, maybe.
Thank you.
So I think like I say, I came along, you know, I'm sure it wasn't a mistake, but maybe not as planned as what my brother and sister was. But I know that I was quite loved, I'm sure. I think some of the times that I remember greatest is when we lived out in Conway. And I think I remember most my mother always having something on the table. She was a very organized person. If we went on picnics, she always planned what kind of silverware we were going to take, and the napkins and the tablecloth. So she's very organized. I think my daddy was a very disciplined person until yet when I left him today in the hospital and he was kind of down. I said, come on, give him some of that Smith temper you got. I said, come on, you're a fighter. And so he just kind of grinned. And I think that's what kind of has kept him going this last couple of months, is just knowing that he is a disciplined person. And I think that compounded with my mother. They have just been a fortress for our family throughout the years. And I know that they have been an inspiration to a lot of people, and I know especially through their sickness they have been. I think my dad always wanted me kind of to be a boy, because I remember one time he said, I needed some help on the wash house, and if you were just a boy, that you could hammer better. So, but I always tried to do my best to help him hammer a little bit. But I don't think there's anyone else that could have ever had any greater parents than what we've had. And as far as our spiritual upbringing, they were always just, you know, come on now, it's time to get up and go to church. And I guess I can remember saying, no, I don't think I want to go. So, and then when it really got good is to remember that when I get up on Sunday that I don't always have somebody to tell me to get up and let's get ready. And I just know that's coming from when I was brought up as a child. And you can kind of hear Mom and Dad say, come on, let's go. So that's been good. And so I praise the Lord for the good parents that I've had, the good upbringing. And I just want to say thank you for so many of you that have helped with this dinner tonight. And Mother has been so excited. She had a dress picked out a month ago. So, and when she says she's speechless, and I just heard her say that in the bathroom, that's really saying a whole bunch tell Mama. I just expect her to her last words to be just a good, clean joke. So I'm hoping that she can remember them, because she would tell me one, and I'd go home and I'd try to tell David, and I'd get started, and I'd say, I can't remember the punchline, but you can call Mama. So I thank you again. I thank you, Mom, and I thank you, my stand-in dad, for everything.
Thanks, Melva. I think next we have another member of this expanded family. Bobby, are you about ready?
Yeah, man. I'll take my whack at it. Well,
Can't think of anything good, don't say
Oh.
nothing, Bobby.
I'll go sit down. Well, Leatha doesn't want me to tell you about what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. She can get even with me later. We moved away from here when I was about 9 years old, so I don't have much of a memory of a lot of you. And anyways, when we started coming back, the only thing my mother ever talked about was Uncle Grady and Aunt Ada. So finally I discovered we did have some other relatives down here. And one time when Uncle George and Aunt Leatha come to Colorado, they stayed in a campground about 7 or 8 miles south of where we lived, and called us on the telephone, because they knew that in my earlier years I'd been brought up in a house that did imbibe in the old John Barleycorn. Namely, it was just about as straight as you could get it, about out of still. So they weren't sure that they wanted to come see me, because I might be one, a drunk, smoke like a fiend, and have a few other bad habits that maybe they didn't want to get around. So Uncle George called on the telephone, and my wife answered, and her first question was, "Who you?" She don't know no George Smith. So consequently, I finally figured out in my dim brain here, that's my uncle. I said, let me talk to him. So we got to talking, and they told me where they were at, and I knew exactly where they were parked. So I said, well, I'll see you after a while. And, so it took us about 15 minutes to get down there. Because a friend that owned the campground of mine where they were staying, I pulled up there and I asked him what site they were in, and we drove right on up there. I guess we must have talked for a couple of hours there. I told them I had a spot in the backyard where they could come park. Finally, they did come by the house to see if we were worthy of them stopping. Thank God that, they did find out that we weren't as bad as they thought we might have turned out. And then that's my experience of meeting Uncle George and Aunt Leatha. But then a friend of mine, Butte Mountain Indian, he and I decided to come to Florida one time from Colorado, and we flew down here, rented a car, and we pulled up into the driveway, and as most of you know, I was right at 400 pounds when I started this little expedition. And as I got out of the car, I had on a full beard, and most of it was gray. And I could hear Aunt Leatha scream from in the kitchen, "Oh my God, George, tell me it ain't alive." That's my experience. I want to tell you, I'm proud to have Smith as the middle name there.
Thanks, Bobby. Lucy? Lucille? You have your notes ready? This can be short, sweet. You can lie a little bit if you feel necessary.
No, I don't have to start it. No, at least I tried to put everything in that letter that I felt, because I can write better than I can speak. And I just want to thank you and Uncle George for a lot of stuff. Thank you.
I do want to say one thing that Lucy did that I just learned, I guess, a week ago, was that Lucy my sister didn't have the middle name, and so she adopted Leatha's middle name. So it's Lucy Alva Smith. Good going, you. Wise choice.
That's my middle name too.
Dad? You're on, sir.
Be careful, though.
Oh, mercy.
He's getting away from me, so he's doing.
Talk loud.
But I left him at home.
Excuses, excuses.
I figured that was a good excuse for not saying anything, but I was overruled. First of all, I want to thank Jerry and my brother Jim and his wife Peg and my sister Dwayne for getting this shindig together. As you may or may not know, I'm from Delaware, and I've been down here a very short time, so I didn't get a chance to do much with this program. Did everybody have enough to eat tonight? I was so happy that we ate first. And I'll tell you why. I had a string bean sandwich for lunch, and it just didn't last. So thank goodness we ate first.
He's taking notes.
I've known Aunt Leatha and Uncle George for a long time. I won't go into years. I can't think of anything that I could say bad about either one of them. They have been a big part of our family down through the years. It seems like every time we would come to Florida to visit, they had been over on Brown Street, either painting, fixing the washing machine, building a bookcase, or something. If it hadn't been for Uncle George and Aunt Leatha, I just don't think this Smith family would have made it. They have really been a backbone to us. In the early years when we would visit Florida, we usually came down without much money. At one time, Uncle George had to take me to the garage and have my car fixed, and I know he paid for it. And as best I remember, I paid him back. If I didn't, I'm sorry. There's so much that I would like to say, but I don't want to, take the whole show. I would like, while I'm here, I would like to introduce my wife to you folks that don't know her. Joan, would you stand up, please? And our youngest son, Craig, and his wife, Judy. We have one other son that lives in Maryland. He couldn't be here tonight. Joan, do you have anything you want to add to this?
No.
Oh, by the way, there is something missing from this thing tonight. That usually, wherever you see Aunt Leatha, you'll see this. And that's her basket. I've never seen her go anywhere without this basket. And I've never seen the likes of food that you can get out of one basket. She always has her basket full of food. She would come over to visit Mom and Daddy, and lo and behold, you go out and open the trunk of her car, and it's a basket, and it may not have anything in it but collard greens and cornbread, but let me tell you, it's a hush puppy. You just don't eat no better than that. Our oldest son thinks her hush puppies are better than any cake that she could make.
Her biscuits are the best.
Oh, okay, thank you. My brother-in-law, R.J. Joan, do you have anything you'd like
Are you going to tell a joke?
Oh, yes.
Get him, Joan, get him. Yeah.
Thank you. Aunt Leatha loves jokes. And I have one that I want to tell her tonight, and you folks can listen if you'd like. in this small town, the church burned down. They only had one, and it burnt down. And the pastor was trying to find a place that he could hold services. And he looked all over town, asked and asked and asked. Nobody had a place he could meet. There was one place he forgot, or he was hesitant to ask, and that was the local nightclub. But he did go over and ask the owner, and the owner said yes. We don't use it on Sunday morning, so you'd be welcome to it. Well, in this nightclub was a resident parrot. And apparently he knew everybody in town. So on Sunday morning, here comes the preacher in his gown, you know, and he walks in, and this parrot looks him over, and he says, new MC. So after a while, here comes the choir, and they're nice, beautiful gowns, you know, and this old parrot, he's sitting over there looking at him. He says, new floor show. So the congregation started arriving, and things got kind of quiet because the service was going to start, and this parrot, he's still sitting there, you know, he's looking everything over. And he said, same crowd.
Bad things. Well, let's see. Jim, you're
not talking to me.
You'll be sorry.
oh, spinner of tall tales. It's your turn. You're not going to make any help on it.
You're going to have to help me.
Hard to walk on both feet.
No, you know, most Smiths that I've known have a good demonstration of them. They're long-winded. A lot of them's got a lot to say, and some of them says a lot that don't say much. But as Aunt Leatha come in the door, she introduced me to somebody. She says, "This is Jim, the quiet one." Which that's right, and so I'm not very long-winded.
He doesn't say much either.
But all through the years, sometimes I get it mixed up, and I'll say Aunt George and Uncle Leatha. You know, but they've been an inspiration to me and to all of my family. In the times that looked dark and bleak, you could always go to their house and it would lift you up. And it's like I told Aunt Leatha last year, as long as she's living, I still have a mother. And that's the way I think of it. And we just appreciate all of y'all being here tonight. And just bless these two people, because they're the two most wonderful people that I know of in this world. And I love them both. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I'm not. Jim, I don't think anybody can top that talk. That says pretty much what so many people feel about Aunt Leatha and Uncle George. I did want to inject this one serious thought, though. You know, Aunt Leatha and Uncle George taught us so much, and we learned so much from them. And I was trying to think of the things that they never taught us. And it was really a short list, and I really had to think hard on it. And I'm sure that a lot of us are familiar with Madonna and Michael Jackson, and you know, those two wear their underclothes on the outside of their pants. Aunt Leatha never taught us anything. It makes them last so much longer. When you do that. That's all I have to say for now. Elizabeth, I want to introduce my sister Elizabeth Smith.
Wayne, ma'am.
It's too late to reprint it. It says Elizabeth.
Well, Elizabeth is my first name. I don't really have a lot to say. I mean, I have a lot I could say, but a short time.
Please don't.
Since this is supposed to be comical, and most of what I would have to say is maybe on the serious side. But since my own parents are gone, I think more of Aunt Leatha and Uncle George as an adopted set of parents. But I have a lot of memories of both of them, but one of the things that stands out in my mind of when I was a child, and I can't say why it was important, but when they lived in Conway, we used to go over there. I used to go over there and spend the night with them, and they had they had one of these old-timey grills that you made grilled cheese sandwiches on. And I remember every time we would go over there, she'd make those grilled cheese sandwiches, and I thought they were so good. And the other thing was that, like Carolyn was saying, that we were the most fashionable girls in Orange County because we had the prettiest dresses made out of feed sacks.
Chicken feed sack.
Flour.
So am I flour sack.
That was Daddy's underdrawers.
But anyway, I think I'm she's been my personal seamstress for a long time. Of course, I'm not real hard to please anyway, but probably not saying it right anyway. She's done a lot for me over the years, and I appreciate everything she's done. That's all I can say. I just love them both as adopted parents. And they've done a lot. We appreciate you. We love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My turn again. No, I would just like to say,
You're not
welcome to my new brothers and sisters. Bobby, stand up, please. Lucille. Bud.
I don't know whether I can.
Jimmy. Jerry. And Dwayne. Thank you. We love you.
Thank you.
And when Christmas comes,
Wow, the presents.
We'll all be at your house.
Carolyn, we're so proud to be a part of your family.
Will you honor us? Thank you.
Somebody stole my certificates that I was going to give Aunt Leatha and Uncle George. Somebody's trying to shorten it up. Shorten the program. Oh, here they are. Here they are.
Well, I thought this might be all the recognition I'd get, so I...
The quiet one.
Aunt Leatha. Let me see here. Just keep your seat. Just keep your seat. I want you to accept this here certificate. It's going to make us your official, you're our official godparents. And to the best of my understanding of what a godparent is supposed to do, it's what you've been doing for the last, what is it, 50 years or so. And that's loving us and nurturing my whole family. And we appreciate it. And I want to read what the certificate says. It says, in celebration of Aunt Leatha Smith, in loving tribute, we the children of Vera Elizabeth and Dewey Hobson Smith, hereby, by unanimous acclaim, select you as our godparent. Because of your relentless pursuit of excellence, your selfless devotion to God, country, and family, and in particular, for the more than half-century of love and affection you've shared with us, the title of Godmother is hereby bestowed. And effective today, April 9, 1994, you're entitled to all the privileges and perquisites normally attendant to this exalted position, and it's signed by the whole staff here. And we have the very same certificate for Uncle George, and I won't read that. I'll just wait until I see him personally, and I'll read it to him. But Sonny, I want you to accept it. Thank you. Oh yeah, I could. I've forgotten something. A verse out of my book here. Let me see here. In Tennessee, we have a poet that has a position as the official poet of Tennessee, and he's had that position for a long time, but he didn't mark the story in the book that I was going to read. It's here somewhere. But anyway, he had written this story about Aunt Leatha and Uncle George, and it recalls a time when he had caught Uncle George and Aunt Leatha in a moment in their lives, and I wanted to read it. And Aunt Leatha and Uncle George had retired for the evening, and I heard Aunt Leatha say, "Something's out there pestering those chickens." And before I knew it, Uncle George was getting out of bed. He grabbed his double-barrel shotgun and left his britches far behind. He had on his little nightshirt that was a shorty behind. I can see him easing out there. He can do little more than creep, for the rocks and sticks and pebbles cut into his tender feet. And Uncle George was all bent over, just a-looking for that coon, with his bare behind a-shining, like a great big harvest moon. Then Aunt Leatha, in her nightgown, way in front of that big old cur, Old Blue ran on past her and scared the stuffing out of her. "Look out, George, there's the varmint." But he didn't seem to mind till that cold nose of Old Blue touched him on his bare behind. Uncle George jumped and hollered, "Lordy, get the white corn juice. I've been bit and I'm a-dying." And he turned both barrels loose. When the feathers quit a-flying and the smoke had settled down, there were 6 hens and a rooster laying dead upon the ground. I can see my Aunt Leatha shake her head and hear her say, "We got chickens for our dumplings, but the varmint got away." Now, Uncle George is getting a little feeble, but if you should want to fight, ask him about that bunch of chickens that he shot one summer's night. Aunt Leatha, we ready for you to have your chance at us now? Be good to us.
Go get them, Mama.
They meant well.
Well, as I told our son tonight, I was speechless. And he said, "Mama, I want to take a note of that."
Get it on film.
I started to pick up my little notes I had tonight, and when I got started, it was a dot. Mine was that heart dot. Made a mistake. But I do have a little bit to say. All these kids have always been really mine. Their mom and daddy claimed them, but they were really at heart mine too. So we adopted them a long time ago. They just didn't know it. I didn't tell them about it. And Bobby, we adopted him 7 years ago when he moved to Florida. And somehow or another, he says every time he comes by our house, no matter what time it is, we're eating. And he joins right in. But Bobby, we're always glad to have you. You are part of our family.
we had a little girl that was supposed to be here tonight that we really adopted, little Ruby Jewel Allen, and something happened, she didn't get to come, but we really adopted her when she was about 4 years old. Her mother was my best friend, and she had triplets. So the mother died when the babies were, I believe she lived 11 days, the mother did. And so little Ruby Jewel become ours then. Her daddy gave her to us to raise. And so she meant so much to us. I was in hopes she'd be here tonight, but evidently she couldn't make it. So when we adopted little Ruby Jewel, well, first we had the 3 children. And that was an odd number, and I never did like an odd number or anything. So when little Ruby Jewel come by, that made us an even number. We had 4 then. Well, when Bobby came along and we adopted him, well, there we were again with an odd number. And so, to cap it all off, now tonight we've adopted 5 more. Now we're Sarah and Abraham. We have 10 children. That's an even number. So we may slack off or we may continue.
Don't get them, Sarah.
Well, the first little girl that come along was Lucille in this family, and she was a dear little girl. She taken care of the little bud here. He was the next in line. And she was a real mother to him, really, because she always looked after him pretty close. And I always admired her for that. And then when she named herself after me, I thought, oh my, what can I do to repay her? And I couldn't think of anything. So, Lucille, we always have admired you. And when her and her husband was going together, we called it courting back then, they would discuss with each other on Sunday afternoon what they were going to do for entertainment. And her little boyfriend would say, let's go over to Leatha and George's and play with their baby, which was Melba. She was about, I guess, a year. She was old enough to make goo-goo eyes at them, and they liked that. She'd turn her little head down and just look up like that, and they thought that was so cute. And so anyway, that was their entertainment for Sunday afternoon.
He always loved that good girl.
And so, on through the years, she came all the way from Texas to be with us tonight. And it's a joy to have her. We thank all of you for doing this planning. I did not realize Christmas, I sent Jerry a little picture like it's on these cards. I had no idea my picture would come out in the paper. So here we got this little paper that they brought over to us, a little program, and there was that picture. And I see it's on many others tonight. Jerry, that's an honor to get my picture in the paper. And George would feel the same way. But anyway, we thank you, all of you, for everything you have meant to us through the years. And I don't know really anything bad to tell about Lucille, so I'll close with that.
Well, see, I lived in Texas too many years. You couldn't give up.
The next little fella come along was Bud. And I tell you, he was a really corker.
You're not gonna tell them.
All of it.
Some of it. I forgot my memory pills tonight, so y'all just have to excuse me. I think about the first little item I remember about him, he was about 2 or maybe 2 and a half, and George and I, maybe not, it wasn't that long. I'll back up. We were married about 2 weeks, probably, maybe 3. And I had my little table all fixed up, you know, with the toothpicks and the salt and pepper shaker and all this on the table. And we missed him. We were him and his mother and I were in the living room talking, and being a new, being a new bride, I wanted everything just to look real cute. So he pulled him up a table to the chair, to the table, put him up a chair to the table. Quietly got up there and got my toothpicks. And he poured them all out on the floor. And about that time, nature called. And those toothpicks was in the main street. That was the end of my
Just use the other end.
As he grew a little older, we were in Lake Wales, and we were living near Leon Carpenter's brother Brax. And they had a little girl named Juanita. Well, being as their name was Carpenter, he could not say Carpenter, but he'd always say, I want to go see that little cot girl. And so his mom and daddy would take him over to see the little cot girl. And that made him real happy.
You know anything about Jimmy?
I'm coming to that. Well, about 2 years ago, wasn't it 91, you had your 40th anniversary? Jimmy and Peggy asked us to go with them up to their surprise 40th anniversary. And I don't think I've ever had such a good time. We all piled in the camper with Jimmy and Peggy, and here we went. Well, they did not know we were coming. I don't think they even knew that Jimmy and Peggy were coming. I don't remember about that. Did they?
No.
Okay, we got up there, and this little Craig here and his brother gave his mom and daddy the nicest anniversary party you've ever seen. They had it at their little church, and I believe this little Craig was supposed to be the guinea pig, so he went over and told his mother and father, or called them and said he wanted to take them out to dinner. And said, kind of dress up, we're going to a kind of a nice place. So we were all at this little church waiting for them, and so the lady called and told Joan that she had forgotten to sign her check for tithing that Sunday. So please drop by and sign her check. Well, that was all right. She didn't think anything about it. She said, well, I guess I didn't sign it. So she goes by to sign the check. So when she come in to sign her check, we were all there in the room like this. And you should have seen those two people. I remember Bud speaking to his sister Dwayne, hugging her neck right at the kind of at the front of the building. And he was so excited, and about 10 more minutes he come back and he said, you're not going to get by without hugging my neck. He had forgot all about even speaking to her. So he was excited. But you know what? We stayed a whole week with him, celebrating.
Then I was excited.
And I don't think that ever would have another anniversary party.
Oh, yeah.
We was like the Willets. We was just there to stay, and we had a good time. We really did. So that's about all the good part I know about Bud. Jimmy, you're next. I'll tell you what. Jimmy was always the quiet type, and he always he would do things on the sly. Like one night I remember he wanted to go to the show, and his dad, I may not tell this exactly right, Jimmy, but I don't mean any harm if I put a little extra to it. He wanted to go to the show, and his mother and daddy didn't want him to go for some reason, and so they went on to bed, and Jimmy went to bed too, just like he was going to spend the night right there. And on in the night, Jimmy slips up and goes out the back door and goes to the show. Well, his daddy, I guess, suspected something on in the night. He gets up and goes. He didn't find any Jimmy in bed. So he goes out and gets an empty wash tub and puts it right at the back door. And when Jimmy come in, there was no light, of course. So when he come on in the night, you never heard such stumbling around in an empty tub. He didn't come in quietly. So his daddy and mama knew all about him going to the tub. But I tell you one thing, Jimmy got the attention of it, and that was an old car. He would kick them cars so hard, he couldn't get them started, and I thought sure he was going to break a foot, but he didn't. But the fenders would have been bent now, Jimmy, if we'd had little cars like we had now. But he would get that card's attention, and somehow or another, that old card start right up. But Jimmy, I want to thank you and Peggy right on for inviting us to go with you to celebrate their anniversary. I have had a lot of fun. And the most fun we had that night, we gave out of gas about halfway in Georgia. Well, you know what times are now, you just don't get out and walk the highway at midnight. There's no policeman in Georgia at night, so you folks can drive just as fast as you want. Nobody ever come by. If they did, they just toot the horn and keep going. We had two big signs on the back that said, "Please help." And the other one was, what was the other one, Jimmy? It was two signs. What was the other sign, Jimmy, on the "Please help"?
Please, one was please help, what was the other one?
It was out of gas, I believe, or it had something wrote on, but I can't remember.
But I tell you what,
They just thought it was honeymooners.
they had a little policewoman, I guess it was supposed to patrol the road that night, and she'd pass us, and she said she thought we were just sitting there resting. Well, at daybreak, Jimmy gets out and starts walking, and he walks about 1.5 miles, I suppose, wasn't it, Jimmy?
Yes, ma'am.
And this, he come up with this policewoman, and I guess he told her our troubles, and so she didn't bring us gas, but she did bring us the record. So we all got in, and this was so funny to me, and it looked funny. Y'all will never know how funny this looked until you saw it. They put Dwayne, she went with us, and they put her in the little truck with the policewoman in front. Well, they put Peggy and Jimmy in the back of the truck, and they sit down like two little children back there. And they put George and I in the record. On the hook. Well, we chugged along this 6 miles to the first station. And the man looked around at us and he said, "Well, where had y'all started?" And I said, "We'd started to Delaware, sir." He said, "Well," no, he first said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "We're from Orlando." He said, "Well, where had you started?" And I said, "To Delaware." Now, this was Thursday night, and we were supposed to be there Saturday afternoon. I said, "We started to Delaware, but I'm not sure we're going to make it unless you go with us." So, but then he got pretty serious, and he said, "Well, do you know what side of the gas tank's on so we could drive up, you know, and just get gas right away?" And George said, "I believe it's on the right." He said, "No, come to think of it, I believe it's on the left." And when we drove up, the gas tank was right in the center of the back. Jimmy, I appreciate you all asking us to go, and I've never had any more fun. Only the night I was going to tell you another thing. Jimmy said to me about 3 o'clock, he come by and I was awake. We was all awake. And he said, "Aunt Leatha, we're having a lot of fun," but said, "I've had just about all of it I can say."
Well, I found out that gasoline tank, instead of holding 119 gallons, it only holds 70 gallons.
That's how come us without gas. It wasn't no fault of Jimmy's. He just didn't know that the gas tank was empty.
I told Peggy, "Don't worry about it. When it got on empty, we still had about 50 gallons of gas. But when that thing got on empty, we didn't go where it was. Everybody's mad.
But we had a lot of fun. We didn't have much money, but we sure had a lot of fun back then. Well, Jerry, it's your time. But you've already told
That's
one
right,
of
I've
mine.
told everything.
You've always told part of mine. I remember he's always said he didn't ever want to be fat and short like Uncle George. That impressed me. That was kind of fun. Our entertainment back there, Uncle Jerry would always load up all the little children. He'd bring them over on Sunday afternoon. And back then we didn't have television to sit down and look at. But we we had a old stove that just cooked donuts out of this world, I guess. But they went out of this world pretty quick.
Right.
Well, I'd get in the kitchen and I'd start cooking donuts and then icing them, a little icing. And best I can remember, Jerry was kind of first in line. But all our kids together would keep up with me cooking them donuts just as fast as I could cook them. They went away. And so that was kind of cute because what I cook, I like to see it eat. And I didn't have any problem.
You always start from get line again.
I had something else I want to say. Oh yes, Jerry, we went to visit Jerry one time, the first time we ever went up there. And he carried us to the Grand Ole Opry. That was our first trip to the Grand Ole Opry. Well, I thought sure they was going to call me and George up on the stage, but they never did. But that was a treat to get to go to the Grand Ole Opry. And then the next day we got to go to church with him. And before we got to church, he said, now, Leatha, we have communion every Sunday at our church. And said, you and Uncle George is welcome to partake of it. So I whispered to George, I said, well, let's go ahead and partake of it since it's free.
Maybe all the lunch.
But he said, Aunt Leatha, there's one thing I want to tell you. He said, now we have real wine. It's not grape juice. And I said, well, in a case like that, I might go back twice. We did enjoy it, Jared. It was nice. It was good to go to the Grand Ole Opry. It was good to partake of the things that you helped us enjoy. Never done without you. Now we get to Dwayne, the good part. Dwayne was little. She'd always, her mama would always bring her to that little Conway church, which was a little wood building, and she would want to sit in my lap during church. Well, I never was a good artist, but she liked to see me draw. And I guess it was such a sight when I got through with it. It would entertain her till she wouldn't cry or cut up at all. Then when she was about, well, she was old enough to pull up a chair to the table, I would not notice my butter dish at all being on the table, but when I'd go in to set the food on the table, there'd be two little fingerprints all the way down my butter dish. She would climb up to the table in that chair and she would make sure she got a little butter. We did enjoy building them little feed sack dresses, Dwayne, and enjoyed seeing you wear them. And we doctored them up, things up later. You wouldn't even know there's feed sacks. Anyway, she met this nice fella that she married, and his name was Smith, and she liked the name Smith so good she married Smith. So that's really liking the Smiths. But she's been an inspiration to me. A lot of times she calls me every week, I'd say. She calls me every week. And sometimes she's kind of down, and sometimes she gives me a lift that I wouldn't be lifted any other way. And she never, hardly ever misses a week calling and coming some. So, Dwayne, we've always enjoyed having you with us. And even though you get down sometime, she said, Aunt Leatha, you always give me a lift when I talk to you. So I'm just glad to be a part. And I want all of our children to stand. Just see how you look standing together. Now I'd like for all their spouses, those that have spouses, to stand with them. Fiance. This is Sonny's fiance. And she's Carol.
She's a spouse.
We're proud to have her. Here a while back, she came over and she dusted my house completely. So she made an impression on me. So thank you.
She's just trying to make brownie points. It's not a girl, Carol.
So I want to introduce you all to our family, our new family, and the old one. near a while back, George and I was coming out of Kmart's, and this little fellow was standing, taking a collection, you know, a little Salvation Army fellow, and he said, "Shh, boy, when you get 60 years old, this gets old standing up here like this." He said, I said, "Wait till you get 80." And he said, "You're not 80." And I said, "I'm working on it, though." And, he said, "You can't be." And I said, "Well, how old do you think I am?" And I just put a quarter in his little black pocket. I said, "About how old do you think I am?" He said, "Well, I think he was about 38. And I said, "George, let's go back and put $5 bills in The fellow asked me the other day, said, "How old are you?" And I said, "That's my business." And he said, "Well, looks like you've been in business a long time."
Mama's on a roll.
Tell it like it is.
Go with it, Mama. You got it going now.
I have a few more things to say. Sometime I'll tell y'all a good joke.
Aren't you glad you speak, Lisa?
Aunt Leatha, gosh, what a blessing. Thank you for sharing all those nice things with us. Sonny, I know it's going to be tough to sit in for Uncle George, but are you going to try?
Well, I'm going to say a few things. One thing is always, Mama took all the time up. But, you know, in behalf of my dad, I do want to welcome you to the family. Jerry, you're a little late because Mom don't cook as much as she used to.
I don't even spend a donut.
But really, I think everything's, you know, been just about been said. And I just know that we've got the greatest kin people and friends in this world.
Amen.
And that's really about all I got to say, and I just wish he could have been here with us.
And we welcome our friends, all of you that come, that's our friends. Jerry told me that I could ask anybody I wanted, all of my friends, and I said, "Now, Jerry, you're going to look funny when I bring in all my church." But I didn't. I just brought a few of our friends, best friends.
Well, thank you, Sonny. Aunt Leatha did say that she was going to invite everyone from her church, but being a very conservative person, I said, "Well, why don't we just invite your minister and let him tell everybody?" How that's fun. I want to thank all of you for coming, and it's been great seeing each of you, and I hope that we'll get to know all of you a little bit better as the years go by. And one more thing, I wanted to say that Jimmy and Peggy have asked us to come over this evening, and was it spend the night and Sunday dinner tomorrow?
Bring your bed or you sleep back.
But they have invited us all to stop at the house.
I make a motion we do this every week.
With them paying?
Okay. I thought this was for the Jimmy Swaggerty tape, but it's not. It's for the flowers. These are the door prizes. Aunt Leatha, you won the big one.
Oh, good.
Gina Smith, you won an arrangement of flowers. Do they get the vase too? Or
Yeah. Yeah, I go back to the thrift shop.
Carol, you've won. Jerry Smith, yes. Evelyn Smith. Francis, you won. No. I can't read. My glasses.
Oh, it says Carolyn Robbins.
And Carol Jackson, Sonny Smith, yours is a Cosipes. Elizabeth Carpenter, Kimberly Ann Smith, Bud Smith, Scott Hayes. Scott, you lucky rascal. And Linda Hayes, too.
I think they paid the wait.
And Melva, Melvin.
Melvin Lee?
Melvin Lee, and is it Clay Korea? Clay?
He went to Versailles.
Thanks for coming.
Well, you have a nice centerpiece for Sunday dinner.
That's all. I will. Oh, yes.
I get a daily visit from the nurse every day. At 7 o'clock in the morning. She can't afford the question. They can't afford to do
Just kidding.
Well, I figured you were shooting her.
Tell George wish him well, huh?
I've never heard of this before. I call it love.
Hey, Scott, go ahead and fill your pockets up, man. Take it. I'm going to. I was thinking about it. I've got some really big pockets on the inside.
She's got a whole bunch of pockets right there.
That's probably
I got a big old pocket right here. I got it stuffed.
I have to be back at about 1 o'clock, 1:30. Well, we'll ask her what she, I've got a lot of today. I've been for the green We're going with Melba. Where are the Melba and David going?
I won't see you tomorrow. I got to work tomorrow. Oh, I sure do. I can't leave that about my eat, but she'll tell you.
She's the one that don't like people up front. She's not going on
No, it doesn't. I ain't it that.
Oh, thank you. She poured it out. That's the one that
Of course, I'm prejudiced. I take it.
Thank you, Linda.
Well, you mean
That was the last one.
I need to get over here and get a hold of it.
I was agreeing. I was shaking my
I
head.
get a little unsteady.
I don't remember one time that you and Uncle George came in there and tried to bring the picnic basket
Plus, there's, if you're in your hands.
We're going out there, we're in a motel.
We knew Ethan had to job in.
Are you going out to Cuba tonight?
Should have been faster.
I'll see you later, okay? Take
Stand by mom and daddy.
on the great screen.
He always has. We'll see you later. That's all right.
Yeah, right. You got a big family. Yes,
No, she's doing like Craig.
That's all right.
the favorite of all favorites.
So glad you did. Lori, glad you, are you going to my boy?
Copy for you.
Do it when I can.
No, we're going to go visit you. Are you going to?
Okay, that's one of those things.
I don't know, maybe toward the end of the week.
When we come for Christmas, you got a lot more stockings to make.
I'm sure do. Friday night, Friday night.
You know somebody?
So glad y'all are fine.
Thanks, honey. I appreciate that. Yes, it was. That was very nice.
Somebody got to take that burden off.
Excuse me, could you move over this one just a
We
little
get
bit?
more to be watched.
Thank you, Mike.
Get a nice shot of your shirt.
Where'd your fiancée go? She done hide it. I know I'll see you in September. I promise you might make it to this way.
I'm glad you finally know who I am.
You doing all right, baby? Huh?
Glad you come.
Oh, really? In the parking lot over there?
Somebody had tickets for me.
They didn't want to be late.
That's exactly what they told me about. Yes, that's why he's lost it. They told me it's very clear. You can never.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They won't be late for lunch. That's really important. Somebody get them out of the way. Have a good one. Oh, yeah.
If I do, I'll probably go in addition to.
Well, I just can't. Maybe that's what I did. I'm not going to
That's right.
Just kidding.
But see, by the time I got her very much, she was married to George's mom. Just 12 years ago, she got married. She introduced me as her oldest sister.
Andy and Maxine were? Yeah, Maxine. Yeah, they told me about it.
Gotta give it to me. That's right, because that's what I have. I put them all together.
They're precious people.
I just don't remember being able to spend much time with the different people when they were there.
I don't remember telling her I visited. I just knew she was going to meet them. Apparently I told her because she told me.
She was graduated from high school. Gone before I really realized seems like it was a lot of years long.
Yeah, it does. I've asked her about what we did to get to do more things together. And she said, well, we just didn't have a chance.
Well, I think
She was anxious.
They were all right.
Hi, girl. Be good. That's important.
Oh, yeah. Well, I see none of them claim this to your little story. I see none of them claim this kid's doing. To be a Smith is, you know. See, I'm a leotard.
You come with them,
I think it's mine.
Well, it was good.
I got kisses on your cheek now.
I get to hug you?
We had a really good time.
That wasn't my
lay out the, where the flower beds are. Well, they're already there, you know, I just want to change it. So maybe I can see you sometime. John, come over and see you. Hey, that's okay too.
Things I had for dinner. It's the fun part. I'm glad it wasn't a funeral. Missy, I hadn't even spoken to you. We got you right there. Somebody. Somebody. Maybe have Rose rub it in and get Rosie cheese. I look like a clown or a one-sided person. Somebody with one ear wrong. I know they're calling. I know what you're saying. You're not a money you can't afford to use. No, I'm just going to get one. Mate. You guys.
I'm glad we probably did. He was going to go open the house in case people.
Good morning. Huh? You didn't know it was going to be a fashion? I knew it was Rose. I told Rose. I said I felt like I'm there today before they were started.
I don't pull my Christmas.
I'm just trying to get you guys. Well done. You're supposed to go to the kitchen. She said she's going to get out of there. Excuse me. Don't you get out here, man.
Yeah, couldn't fly.
This was a fun day, wasn't it?
Yeah, really? I never thought of that. You're right. He did, but he had just picked up his daughter, and they were gonna go see Dad, and they didn't have anybody to take him. Grandma was here, and some of our people were off racing, some of them were sick, some of them were working, and so we're just gonna provide to stay close around.
It was nice seeing you again.
Little baby, yeah, and he would have been the center of attention. He's really something. Better we just go on and send him home.
Do you live?
Too bad we can't do it like once a month.
Yeah, we know we can do it.
That's great.
I don't think that's gonna work though.
No, I get a little wet.
Yeah. You too. Glad you made it. This one.
Well, you just done real good, Miss Leatha.
That's fine. You take fine. You take.
It wasn't a funeral.
Yeah, we got roses before. That's good.
I'll tell you what, I'm glad you drove that far.
You want George our love?
Okay, I sure will. All right.
Yeah, that's got it in mind.
I'm gonna move back home.
Why don't you give this
I just thinking and everything. She's got her time right now, stepping out at your house.
Yeah, you should have got up and told me. I fell in the bed, fell out of the bed. The bed broke down.
Spent the night twice there now. First time was right after our older son. So he's 38, 37. And he's about 37. And he got in bed and just laying there and there. Minding our own business. And that bed just said, what?
Just fell. Stone board fell out from under it. They went on the floor.
They said the next time we prep, and I'll see a film, just slept on the floor. No, we didn't do that.
That's a good one. Okay, that was something, wasn't it? That was embarrassing. I told him, I said, we gotta get another van. Them folks fell the last time they gonna fall here.
I didn't know what you were doing.
Yes, I do, very well.
Spielberg. Aren't you
You should have told that.
Steven Spielberg?
Rosie's old bed.
You can't read. Come on now.
I know, they.
There really isn't. Steven Spielberg. No, not today. Well, I guess it was the camera.
I know.
The camera that did it.
Well, I never will forget that. They probably did just.
Yeah, that was, it wasn't funny to me, but afterwards
Yeah, it's
it
pretty
sounded
old.
kind of funny.
Is it pretty old? Is this yours?
That's why I sold it.
Did you get it fixed?
But, you know, coming, it was a long ways.
No? It's really broke. We
Here
don't have any
comes
tapes.
the bride. I tell you, somebody
But tonight's
murdered that cake, didn't they?
I'll know when we They sure did. You know, I forgot to tell you. Of course, it'll be too late then. But we went. That's right. We can do it again. We always live on the edge. We can do it again. I'll forget the lady. Well, we can pretend. We stand in, you know, go through the motions. We'll be done. But you can do wonders with the editing. Just go down to the rescue mission. They have big tables down there. We can ad lib.
You don't remember the name of the place.
Well, it was Charlie's Bakery up there.
Charlie's Bakery?
No show something.
You see, we kept her cake.
Yeah, mine's over there too, I hope. It may be gone by now.
And then when we went to Matt,
Well, I guess I'm done.
I went to the salad.
It's through filming.
Oh, yeah, we know that too.
Ah,